There are different methods available to obtain the initial basic feasible solution. They are northwest corner rule, least cost method, Vogel's approximation method. Let's dive into least cost method and then Vogel's approximation method. For that, let's consider an example problem for better understanding. Now we are going to see the least cost method. The first step is to make it a standard transportation problem. For that, check whether it is balanced or unbalanced transportation problem. For that, we have to add these supplies. Here 3 plus 7 plus 5 is equal to 15. And add the demands. 4 plus 3 plus 4 plus 4 is equal to again 15. That is, the given problem is balanced transportation problem. So let's proceed. Now we have to find a basic feasible solution. According to this method, here we need to find out least cost among the various cost. We have different sources and different destinations. In each cell, we have got some values. We can see here. Select the least value among the cost, that is the minimum cost. Here 1 is the minimum value, so we can select this cell for the allocation. Compare the demands and the supply of this cell. Here we have 3 supplies and 4 demands. So take the minimum of these two. Which one is the minimum value? Here 3 is the minimum value. So we can allocate 3 here. Subtract the excluded cell with the least value. So here we will get 0 and subtract 3 from 4. Here we get 1. Eliminate this row accordingly by striking it off. So we can cut all this cell because we have nothing here to supply. That is the here we got the value is 0. That's why we can cut all the cell. Now continue the process with the remaining cells. Again find the least cost cell and do the same steps as given above. Here, which one is the least cost here? Here we can see 4 is the least cost cell. So we can select this cell. Again, we can check it for demands and supply. So here the supply is 7 and the demand is 1. So which one is the minimum of these two? 1 is the minimum. So we can allocate 1 here and we can subtract the 1 from 7, we will get 6 and here we will get 0. So we can eliminate all the cells. One thing I would like to point out here. If 2 cells having equal cost, we can't pick anyone randomly from it for allocation. In such cases, use a cell where maximum allocation is possible to satisfy the demand. If 2 supplies is same, which are maximum, then we can select the cell with the most demand. Again, we can do the same procedure here. Find the least cost cell here. Which one is the least cost? Here 5 is the least cost cell. So we can select this 5 and we can check the demand and supply. Here supply is 6 and the demand is 4. So we can take the minimum of these two. So we can allocate 4 here. Then we can subtract 4 from here, we will get 0 and we can subtract 4 from 6, we will get 2. We can eliminate this column. Okay. Again 4 cells are remaining. Here 6 is the least cost cell, so we can select 6. Then check for demand and supply. Here the demands are 3 and the supply is 5. So we can take the minimum of these two. Which one is the minimum? 3 is the minimum. So we can write here, allocate here 3, and we can subtract 3 from 5. We will get 2, and subtract 3 from 3. We will get 0. Then we can eliminate this entire column. Okay, again 2 cells are remaining, 7 and 10. Here which one is the minimum value? 7 is the minimum value. So we can select this cell and we can check it for minimality. Here 2 and 4 is here, so the minimum is 2. We can allocate 2 here. Then we can subtract 2 from here, then we will get 0, and we can subtract 2 from 4, we will get 2. So we can eliminate this entire row. So remaining one cell is here. So we can check the supply and demand. Here the supply and the demand is same because it is balanced problem. That is, the supplies and the demands are equal. So we can allocate the remaining value here. So we can allocate 2 here. Then we can subtract 2 from here, we will get 0. And we can subtract 2 from here, we will get 0. That is, we have nothing to allocate. This gives initial basic physics solution by the least cost method. Now let's calculate the cost associated with this allocation. To find the transportation cost, add all the products of all allocated cell values and the cost of the respective cell. That is, the total cost equal to total cost equal to 3 into 1 plus 2 into 10 plus 4 into 5 plus 1 into 4 plus 2 into 7 plus 3 into 6, which is equal to 79. Now let's understand what we have found out. Rupees 79 represents the total cost involved in moving the commodities. Now we are going to see Vogel's approximation method or VAM or penalty method. Let us discuss with the same example. Selecting the cost cell to be allocated is not that easy in VAM, as if we discussed in the northwest corner method and least cost cell method. It is not that difficult though, but the process is a bit lengthier than before. In the VAM, we have to see first in the difference between two lowest cost in each row and column. These are known as penalties or extra cost. That is, the difference between the two smallest values is considered. Consider the first row. Which one is the smallest value? 1. And the next smallest value is 2. Then what will be the difference of these two smallest values? 1. So we can write the penalty as 1 here. Again, consider the second row. Which one is the lowest value here? 4. And the next smallest value is 5. The difference between these two is 1. And consider the third row. Which value is the smallest value here? 6. and the next smallest value is 7, and the difference between 6 and 7 is 1. And consider the column M1. Here choose the smallest value 2, and the next smallest value is 7. So the difference between 2 and 7 is 5. So the penalty of the first column is 5. Again consider the second column M2. So which one is the smallest value here? 2, and the second smallest value is 6. The difference between 2 and 6 is 4. And consider this column. Then here 2 and 5 is the two smallest values. The difference between this 2 and 5 is 3. Again consider the last column. The smallest value is 1 and the next smallest value is 4. That's the difference between these two values is 3. So the penalties are 1, 1, 1, 5, 4, 3, 3. Now find the maximum value among the penalties irrespective of row and the column. Here the maximum penalties is 5. If there is a tie choosing the penalties, then choose the least cost value and select the related penalty. Now look into the respective column. Here select the least value among all the cost. Which one is the least value among this cost? 2. So select the least value among all the cost, that is minimum cost. Here it is 2. So we can select this cell for the allocation. If there are more than one cell with the same least cost, at time you can choose anyone among them. It's purely user's choice to decide which one to select. Now compare the demand and the supply of this cell. Here the supply is 3 and the demand is 4. Allocate the cell with the least value. Here the least value is 3. So we can allocate 3 here. Subtract the excluded cell with the least value. So we can subtract from here, then we will get 0, and also we can subtract 3 from here and we will get 1. Then we can delete all the cells in this row. That is, eliminate the row accordingly by striking it off. Here the row with the source W1. Now continue the process with the remaining cells. Again we need to find the penalties of each row and the penalties of each column. Consider the second row. Here the penalties will be the same, and also here also the smallest element value is 6 and the next smallest value is 7, so the difference is 1. Again here consider the M1 row, M1 column. Here 7 and 10 is here, so the penalty will be 3 here, and here 6 and 8 is here, so the penalty will be 2, and here 5 and 6 the penalty will be 1, and here 4 and 8, so the penalty will be 4. Now find the maximum value among the penalties. What is the maximum value among the penalties? 4 is the maximum value, so choose this column. Here only 2 cells are remaining. Then what is the least cost cell here? Select the least value among all the cost. Here 4 is the least value. So we can select this cell for the allocation. And again compare the supply and the demand of this cell. So here we can see 4 is lesser than 7. So we can allocate 4 here, and we can subtract this 4 from here, then we will get 0, and we can subtract 4 from 7, then we will get 3. So we can strike it off. Again find out the penalties of the unallocated rows and columns. Here least values are 5 and 8, then the penalty will be 3, and here the penalty will be 1, and consider this column, the penalty will be 3, here the penalty will be 2, and here the penalty will be 1. So which is the maximum value among the penalties? 2 values are here, here 3 and here also 3. Then which cell we can select? Look to the corresponding row, which one is the least number? 5 is the least number, and check this corresponding column. Here 7 is the least number. So we can select the most least number here. So we can allocate the value here. So compare the supply and the demand. So we can allocate 3 here, and then delete then their rows from here, because here we will get 0. So we can subtract this 3 from this 4, then we will get remaining 1. So we can't cut this particular cell. Here only 1 row is remaining. So we can choose the least cost cell from this unallocated cells. Here we are considering this 6. Here the demand is 1 and the supply is 5. So minimum of these 2 is 1. So we can allocate 1 here. Then subtract 1 from here, we will get 0. So we can delete this cell, and also we can delete 1 from here, then we will get 4. Again consider the least value here. Here 6 is the least value. So we can allocate the minimum of these 2. What is the minimum of these 2? 3 is the minimum of these 2 values. So we can allocate 3 here, and we can subtract 3 from here, you will get 0. So we can cut this, and also we can subtract 3 from here, then we will get 1. Now only 1 cell is remaining. So we can check the demand and supply of the cell. So here we have 1, and here also we have 1. So we can allocate the value here. Now let's calculate the cost associated with this allocation. To find the same and all the products of all allocated cell values and the cost of the respective cell. So total cost equal to 3 into 2 plus 3 into 5 plus 4 into 4 plus 1 into 7 plus 3 into 6 plus 1 into 6, which is equal to 68. rupees 28 rupees 68 represents the total cost involved in moving the commodities. Here also, this may or may not represent the optimal solution for this problem. That is, there may exist other ways of allocating which may give a better solution with a lower total cost. An optimality test has to be carried out to test whether the obtained answer is optimal or not.